The Canaries were dealt a major blow even before a ball was kicked in anger. Craig Bellamy injuring knee ligaments in a pre-season friendly Southend. The Welsh international would miss almost the entire campaign. And 3 weeks into the season, a huge setback. Midfielder Phil Mulryne breaking his leg in challenge with Blackburn's Christian Daly. Mulryne, like Bellamy, would be another long-term casualty. City's injury jinx had struck yet again with a vengeance. Already without Darren Eadie for the big kick-off, the loss of 2 more key players, hardly the ideal start.
No, it wasn't, because when you lose players of the calibre of Craig Bellamy, and just shortly after that Philip Mulryne, it's very hard to replace them. And from a playing point of view, it's important. Psychologically, it's important. The crowd, they know they're good players and we're going to miss them. And all of a sudden it just rolls on to things that we don't really want. So it was a disappointing start. And it was always going to be hard, for it's a tough league. But without those 2 lads, it was a big problem.
But there were some positives, not least on the opening day of the season at the Hawthorns. An encouraging performance, with goalkeeper Andy Marshall, for one, displaying the sort of form he'd show throughout the season. And with their clean sheet intact, Norwich set about probing the Albion defence. And early in the second half, they took the lead. West Brom keeper Alan Miller spilling Darryl Such's cross, Paul Dalglish volleying home, 1-0. And with the prospect of a winning start to the campaign, a strong travelling contingent of City supporters was suitably impressed. In the events, though, they had to settle for a point. Substitute Paul Raven heading home with his first touch, 1-1 the final score. 3 days later, the Worthington Cup first round saw league newcomers Cheltenham Town at Carrow Road. Tony Jones, the commentator.
Fuglestad with the cross. Here's Roberts. Now Ansalan. There is some pushing by Iwan Roberts. It was a terrific finish by Cedric Ansalan, but the goal will not stand. Short corner this time by Norwich, curled in by Mulryne. And a bullet light header from Iwan Roberts puts Norwich City ahead. Iwan Roberts, who has set himself a target of 30 goals for the season, has got his first of the campaign in typical fashion. Norwich with the bulk of the possession, but as yet unable to create any real clear-cut openings. Dalglish has found Roberts, and Iwan Roberts has found the target for the second time this evening.
2 for Roberts, 2 for City, a reasonable cushion to take to the West Country for the return a fortnight later. But come the weekend, the first home match in the league would provide an early test of the Canaries' promotion credentials. Birmingham City, the visitors, Trevor Francis' team, going on to take all 3 points with a splendid goal from John McCarthy. McCarthy unchallenged before hitting a worthy match winner. And that proved to be the only goal of the game. 1-0. Worse still, yet another injury for Norwich. Skipper Matt Jackson this time damaging his knee in an awkward fall. Jackson would be out for a month, and so joined Bellamy, Mulryne and Eadie on the sidelines. But the show must go on, and a tough early fixture list saw City at promotion favourites Charlton the next weekend. And yet again, Andy Marshall was on top of his game. Coming up, a spectacular save from John Robinson. 0-0 at half-time. Marshall, though, could do little about Richard Rufus' second-half header, which gave Charlton all 3 points. 2 successive 1-0 defeats in the league, with a real scare to come in the return leg of the Worthington Cup at Cheltenham. No goals in the first half, but 2 minutes after the break, the league new boys were awarded a penalty. Craig Fleming, the man penalised. You have to say it seemed a touch harsh. Either way, Neil Grayson scored from the spot. So 1-0 on the night, 2-1 to Norwich overall. That then became 2-2 on aggregate, courtesy of Jamie Victory's header. The tie went into extra time, where ultimately Lee Marshall spared City's blushes by touching home the winner from Iwan Roberts' cross. 2-1 on the night, Norwich through 3-2 overall. Back in the league, the big games were coming thick and fast. Next up, newly relegated Blackburn, struggling to adjust to life in Division 1 until they arrived at Carrow Road. Egil Ostenstadt making it 1-0 early on. That set Blackburn on their way to victory, but City's biggest loss on the day was that of midfielder Phil Mulryne. The influential playmaker caught by a challenge from Christian Daly. Mulryne's leg was shattered, a double fracture, and the former Manchester United youngster would be out for all but a handful of games at the end of the season. It was a bitter blow for Mulryne, City's supporters and the club's aspirations. Blackburn went on to make sure of the points in the second half. Keith Gillespie's shot deflected in off Ostenstadt. 2-0 then, but Norwich paying a much higher price through that cruel blow to Mulryne. With just 1 point now from 4 games, rock bottom of Division 1, the drama of the opening month was beginning to become something of a crisis.
It's a serious break, and it's very unfortunate, and I think it puts life in perspective, really, that you know, we're very disappointed to have not won a game again, and we've lost a game. But we've lost a very key player to another very key player to another very serious injury. And, you know, we have to balance our thoughts about trying to get a victory, which we want to do, as against thinking about Phil Mulryne at the moment.
48 hours later, Norwich headed for Walsall, where they fell behind after just 3 minutes. Adrian Coote heading through his own goal. Could things really get any worse for the Canaries? No, thanks largely to Iwan Roberts and Cedric Antolin, who combined well to set up Lee Marshall for an equaliser just before half-time. But City's luck wasn't about to be totally transformed this bank holiday Monday, because early in the second half, Darren Rack showed some neat footwork and a finish to match to restore Walsall's lead. 2-1, that's how it stayed until 2 minutes into injury time, when Adrian Coote made up for his earlier own goal with another header into the same net. Only this time it earned Norwich a much-needed morale-boosting point. Final score, 2-2. The big news ahead of the next match at Carrow Road, Darren Eadie fit again and featuring for the first time this season. Only on the bench for the visitor crew, but Eadie would go on to make a real impact.
Norwich take the corner quickly. Here's Fuglestad. Roberts rising! And Iwan Roberts has put Norwich City ahead. Iwan Roberts with his first league goal of the season, responding to the right sort of service. Delightfully flighted cross from Eric Fuglestad. And there was Roberts, rising higher than everyone else to angle the header into the top corner of the net. Norwich changing their approach at the corner. Carey played it short to Fuglestad, and Fuglestad was able to search out Iwan Roberts. It's 1-0 Norwich after 20 minutes. Forward by Roberts. Chase for Cram, and he's taken full advantage of the slip by Malky Mackay to grab Crew's equaliser. Well, Norwich City ready to make a double substitution at the start of the second half. It's the one which their supporters have wanted since January, the return of Darren Eadie alongside their Papi Diop. A very warm reception for Darren Eadie, who's had such a frustrating time with injury. A terrific turn by Iwan Roberts. He's set up Adrian Coote, and Coote in turn has set up Darren Eadie. What a magnificent goal by Darren Eadie! What a wonderful return to action for Darren Eadie. A second half substitute and making his first appearance here at Carrow Road since January. It's a storybook finish for Darren Eadie. Good work by Roberts, Intelligent play by Adrian Coote and a magnificent finish by Eadie. Eadie's been hungry for action, and the way he finished that suggests he's also hungry for goals.
Good to see him back in action, the first league win of the season, inspired by Darren Eadie.
Well, Darren, well done. You must be absolutely delighted to come back in that fashion and to score a goal like that.
Yeah, it's always pleasing to score, but the most important thing was to get the 3 points today. We hadn't had the best starts of the season, and it was imperative we needed to win today. And I thought the lads battled well and probably even deserved to score a couple more in the second half.
There was almost tangible relief at the end after the final whistle because of the result.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be like that. I mean the first result, the win of the season, is probably the most important. So hopefully we can go on from there now and push ourselves out out the bottom half of the table, which I think we don't deserve to be in.
And how about your own contribution? Because it was really a storybook finish for you, having been out for so long, and to come on and then score the winning goal.
Yeah, it's always pleasing to score, but I don't score many like that either. I caught it lovely and just managed to. Lucky for me, I went flying in the net, so I didn't go over the bar.
But if Norwich thought they'd turned the corner, they had another thought coming. Round 2 of the Worthington Cup saw Fulham run rampant at Carrow Road in the first leg. The Londoners taking full advantage of some poor defending. First, Lee Clark setting up Paul Pescisolido to make it 1-0. And the nightmare was only just beginning for Bruce Rioch and his team, especially for Adrian Coote, who headed his second own goal in 3 games early in the second half. That made it 2-0 to Fulham. 2 became 3 10 minutes later. Clark breaking clear this time. The City defence in disarray. Andy Marshall exposed. 3-0. Clark then made way for Wayne Collins, and within a minute of his arrival, he was in on the goal-scoring act as well, heading home Fulham's 4th. The tie was as good as over, with the second leg still to come, and by this stage manager Bruce Rioch was defending his position in the media. Next, it was off to Huddersfield, where City's mini revival in the league came to an abrupt end, courtesy of Clyde Vinehardt's chip. 1-0 City, 1 league win in 7 games, and in the bottom 3.
I think if people are realistic and understand we're doing our best, we're working extremely hard. We can't just go out and spend money on players that we don't have to replace the 5 players that we've had injured. We just don't have that capability. Some clubs do.
The Worthington Cup second round return at Craven Cottage was little more than a damage limitation exercise. The big spenders went ahead through Barry Hales, 5-0 on aggregate, and 7 minutes from time Sean Davis made it 2 on the night, 6-0 overall. Out of the cup, getting the league form right was now an absolute priority.
People with realism, and we've had a tremendous amount of letters at the football club from supporters who understand the situation and understand exactly the difficulties that we're facing. But we'll continue to give it everything we've got, the management and the players together, to see if we can get the results that will help the confidence and help the position in the league. We can get a couple of wins consecutively. It could take us up 8-9 places in the table. And whilst the points difference may not be a great difference compared to other teams, the position in the table might look a lot healthier and a lot better. So that's really what we have to achieve.
Back to the league then, and the trip to Stockport County. It didn't start well. Laurent De Jaffo putting the home side ahead with a soaring header midway through the first half. But this game saw renewed spirit and determination from Norwich, and they proceeded to turn the match on its head. First, Darrell Russell with a great through ball for Iwan Roberts to equalise. And then, 5 minutes after the break, Paul Dalgleish grabbed his second goal of the season, volleying in through a crowded penalty area. So Norwich 2-1 up and on course for a first away win of the season. But it wasn't to be, as with just 3 minutes left, this happened and it finished 2-2. But it was a more encouraging display ahead of the midweek visit of Manchester City. So we return to Carrow Road now, and more commentary from Tony Jones.
Norwich breaking here with Paul Dalgleish. Roberts making his way into the penalty area. Here's Carey. And Russell. Magnificent save by Luke Weaver. Manchester City goalkeeper, who's been on outstanding form this season, making a blinding save there from Darryl Russell. Carey was able to chest the ball down and just to angle it into Russell's path, and that was a fine stop. Forward by Roberts. Here's Lee Marshall. Eadie making his way into the penalty area. And it was a very good clearance indeed by Lee Crooks as Eadie challenged. Norwich with a bit more width and a bit more pace on the right-hand side with Lee Marshall in that position. Here's Eadie. Strong running by Darren Eadie. Still with Eadie. And an element of surprise in the shot. Eadie still really hasn't found his sharpness after a 9-month spell on the sidelines because of injury, but then he had the strength to get beyond Jeff Whitley. Here's Kenton. Now Eadie. Kenton has continued his run forward into the Manchester City penalty area. Needs some help in there, though. Shadowed by Whitley. He ran into trouble in the end, but Eadie is able to deliver the cross, which Dalglish was just unable to aim towards the top corner. Instinctive work by Paul Dalglish. Eadie just able to have a look up before he delivered the cross. Eadie over the free kick for Norwich. They've pushed Fleming and Jackson into the penalty area alongside Lee Marshall and Roberts. Weaver elects to punch clear, and Iwan Roberts has grabbed a goal for Norwich City. Roberts had a look over to the far side to check that he was onside. He couldn't quite believe he was free and standing on the penalty spot, completely unmarked. Questions will be asked about Luke Weaver's decision to punch clear there. Russell with a header back in. And Manchester City stood and waited. They expected an offside flag. They didn't get one. And Norwich City have taken the lead with Iwan Roberts' 5th goal of the season. Crooks with a splendid crossfield pass to search out Kennedy. Dickoff. Now Whitley. Great save by Marshall. Norwich clearing their lines but unable to pick out Whitley. Gota once more in the offside position as the ball rebounded off Andy Marshall. Douglas just waited then and anticipated that Lee Marshall would have taken the ball away from him. Marshall now does have the ball at his feet. It's Lee Marshall. Terrific run by Lee Marshall. Ball just skidded away from Luke Weaver. It wasn't a bad stop by the Manchester City goalkeeper. And that was an even better save, but to ironic cheers, the flag on the near side is raised. Iwan Roberts this time was in the offside position. Also trying to get goal side of Jackson. Here's Russell. It's a surging run by Darryl Russell. It's Russell clean through on goal. Russell against Weaver. And he drives his shot wide. They hold their head in the stands, and that was a magnificent run by Darryl Russell. He just dummied one way and then the other. He ran half the length of the pitch, and then when confronted by Luke Weaver, he drifted his shot wide.
But a good win, 1-0, enough to take Norwich out of the bottom 3 and prepare for a third showdown with Fulham, this time in the league.
Here's Roberts. Now Russell. Lee Marshall has made the move in behind Trollope. And what a magnificent save that was by Mike Taylor. Lee Marshall frustrated by some exceptional goalkeeping by Mike Taylor. Fulham really caught out then. They just didn't pick out the run of Lee Marshall, who was quickly on to the through ball from Russell. Eadie with the corner. And it's an own goal. No, eventually in. Adrian Forbes has put Norwich City in front after 30 minutes. Darren Eadie's corner, floated into the near post. There was a cluster of bodies there. The first header came off Simons, and it was Adrian Forbes on his first appearance of the season who's put Norwich in front. Taylor beaten. Desperate measures necessary on the goal line by Finan, but they couldn't keep out Adrian Forbes. Fulham with Coleman well forward and Simons. Roberts with the header clear. Only as far as Riedler. What a start for Karl-Heinz Riedler. His first appearance for Fulham and his first goal for Fulham. Hale is showing great strength to get beyond Kenton and to get beyond Jackson. It's still with Barry Hales. Oh, what a fantastic goal by Barry Hales.
That late comeback really doing for Norwich, a third defeat of the season at the hands of Fulham, with another trip to Craven Cottage still to come later that month. Mid-October took Norwich to Vale Park, from where they returned with all 3 points, courtesy of a goal from vice-captain Craig Fleming. It was Fleming's first goal of the season. So important as well, not least because it signalled the start of a run of good form and results at long last. In midweek at Bramall Lane, there was more evidence of Darren Eadie's return to fitness. His first half cross very nearly turned in by Iwan Roberts. And then vintage Eadie. Coming up now, sharp turn of pace before he creates the opening for Adrian Forbes. The chance of a winner went begging, but at the other end, Norwich were again grateful to Andy Marshall, turning Marcelo's header over the bar to keep it goalless. 0-0, things though looking much better.
Whilst we didn't create that many chances, we've come away from home for 2 games and we've taken 4 points and 2 clean sheets to boot, which is very pleasing. And the dressing room's quite good tonight, obviously, because you know, we need to win games or take points from games to help our league position. And in order to do that, we need to score goals but keep clean sheets at the same time.
By now, there was talk of Rule Fox returning to Carrow Road on loan, and even news that Ian Wright might have joined City, but for the England international's huge wage demands. Big names or no, Norwich were at least buoyed by 2 successive clean sheets as they entertained Bolton on a Sunday. And today it would be one of City's bright young hopes who would catch the eye in front of the live cameras. Commentary from Alan Brazil and Rob Hawthorne.
Roberts. Here's Darryl Such. Russell moving up on the outside of him and still want to keep that in. And Jääskeläinen wasn't too sure about it, has to fist it away. Well, Russell on his left foot. I think initially he was thinking of crossing it. When no one closes him, he thinks, why not? I'll have a go. Left foot, it's going to sneak inside the near post. Jääskeläinen taking no chances. Good strong fist away. Eadie. And Holdsworth lets it go, and Roberts was there and couldn't make the most of it. Well, Holdsworth having a real pop at Jääskeläinen and saying, hey, come on, give us a call. And that's a good ball from Eadie. Lurking right behind as Roberts gets a toe to it. Here's Darren Eadie. Good shot off the post. And they couldn't quite get the rebound in. Russell goes down, but the referee had already blown for a free kick for Bolton. But that's where we wanted, a good start. Eadie coming so close. I think the cross actually comes off Andy Todd. I think he gets a touch on Andy. But Eadie, good take on his right foot. Good strike. Jääskeläinen was beaten and cannons off the right hand upright. This is very, very unlucky from Darren Eadie. As Nigel Spatman says, the bright, bubbliest, best player on the pitch. Catches it beautifully. Already the second half better than the first 45. Eadie with a cross in towards Fleming. Phillips with a header away. And Russell got his shot in and scores! It's only his second senior goal, but finally the Norwich pressure pays.
Well, I was impressed first half with this young boy, Russell. You know, he's good, he's got a little bit of pace. It doesn't complicate things, but he hits this strike early. Once he gets it under control, there's bodies in front, and that's a beautiful strike with his right foot. This time, Jääskeläinen beat. Look at the bodies in front of Jääskeläinen, absolute no chance. He's right in the centre of his goal, and Russell pace and direction, 1-0. Celebrating. Second senior goal, and what a cracker.
That's the sixth time that Bruce Rioch has faced his old club since he left Bolton, and he's had a mixed record, 2 wins, 2 defeats and a draw, but his team now in the driving seat. Eadie. Oh, well, that would have been some goal from Darren Eadie.
That's a long way out, isn't it? It's 30 yards out, but the crowd here love him at Carrow Road. And Norwich is certainly a better side when he's in it, when he's not injured.
Cox. Holsworth. And Gudjonsson's got it through, and this time Gardner's got behind the defence and equalises. An equaliser that looked most unlikely.
First time, really, they've got beyond the City defence. It's a sloppy goal from Norwich's point of view, but Bolton now, well, perhaps go on and win it.
This is de Blassie. Carey. Roberts. Beyond him to Darren Eadie. And Iwan Roberts blocked. Russell gets his second of the afternoon. And Norwich are back in front.
Well, you have to look at the goalkeeper here. Andy Todd's not aware of what's behind him. The goalkeeper should be, surely, screaming and telling them, away, away, away. Eadie doesn't panic, fires it back, Roberts is blocked, and Russell, well, takes no chances, drills it in the back of the net. A soft goal from Bolton's point of view, Norwich back in front, and what a day for Russell. Russell on his left peg, bang, opposite corner to his first. 2-1.
We've got now 3 at the back, and it gives us that extra option of a player somewhere else on the field. And I mean, we're fairly comfortable with 3 at the back at this minute in time, and 4 in midfield is usually a solid formation. And now we can put that extra player up front to give us that extra dimension up front to try and get a couple more goals, which seems to be working fairly well for this minute.
Say that again, 2 for Darryl Russell. Things looking up. On to midweek. Stockport County, Tony Jones.
Jackson for Norwich. Here's Roberts. Roberts did well to pick out Darren Eadie, who's got Forbes just ahead of him. Such now making a surge into the penalty area. Here's Roberts. There was a great opportunity for Iwan Roberts. And the agony obvious. The first real clear-cut opening which Norwich City have had. Good control by Iwan Roberts, who was able to turn inside Connolly. But for Roberts and Norwich, the shot agonisingly wide. Forbes now for Norwich. Only Roberts in the penalty area. And that's an own goal. It's Mike Flynn. Norwich City take the lead after 43 minutes. A broad grin on Iwan Roberts' face. But the cross here from Adrian Forbes, planted past his goalkeeper by Mike Flynn, the Stockport County skipper. A miserable return to Carrow Road for the former Norwich City defender. Lofted forward by de Blassie. McIntosh dispossessed by Darren Eadie, and then he just ran into trouble, Darren Eadie, although he's won the free kick for Norwich. Carey and Eadie, the 2 over the free kick. Norwich with Jackson pushed forward from the back, as is Fleming. And a header which came back off the post. In the the end was by Darren Kenton, who's in a bit of trouble here. Delightfully floated free kick by Darren Eadie, and Kenton was in very, very sharply. Who has been given the benefit of the doubt and has been awarded the free kick, although Sean Connolly certainly felt then that he got the ball away. He was holding Forbes off and he did make contact. The referee got it absolutely right. Norwich free kick. Roberts set to make his move to the near post. Fleming and Jackson already on their mark. Eadie with the free kick. Russell's shot, and a spectacular effort, which was brilliantly turned over the top by Carlo Nash there from Adrian Forbes. What a goal that would have been for Forbes. Terrific overhead. The ball just sat up so nicely then for Adrian Forbes, and there was plenty of dip on the shot. Into the final minute of normal time. Miscue by Connolly. Roberts able to hold off Connolly and to rescue possession back for Norwich City. Here's Eadie. Eadie to the byline. Crosses swung through to Forbes and Roberts. Iwan Roberts. It's been a long time coming, but with barely 30 seconds of normal time remaining, Norwich City have made their second breakthrough. Eadie's cross just skidding through invitingly for Adrian Forbes off Connolly, and with Stockport standing and waiting and anticipating an offside flag which never came, there was Iwan Roberts, free just 6 yards from goal to beat Nash, and surely now to put the game beyond the reach of Stockport County.
So now 4 without defeat as the Canaries renewed acquaintances with Fulham. Same old story to start with. Kit Simons heading the home side in front after only 9 minutes. And Norwich could easily have fallen further behind when Andy Marshall conceded a penalty. Marshall picked up a yellow card, but the City keeper pulled off a tremendous save from Lee Clark's kick. A great one-handed flying stop from Andy Marshall, and that gave Norwich the platform to come back. It was much better after half-time, and Iwan Roberts started and finished the move which earned City an equaliser. Roberts getting in ahead of the keeper at the near post, and Norwich at last getting something from Fulham after those 3 earlier defeats. The resurgent Canaries were making good progress up the league table by now. Top half by the time Nottingham Forest came to Carrow Road in early November.
Roberts. Now Eadie. Forbes in the middle. Such arriving. Here's Daryl Such. Chance for Such. And Norwich City are in front. Daryl Such with his first goal in over 2 years has put Norwich in front. Terrific finish by the fullback. Here's Darren Eadie. He's away from Johnson. Roberts arriving. Flag was up for offside anyway, but Iwan Roberts would have expected to have found the target from then. Lightning burst of acceleration by Darren Eadie to get away from his former teammate Andy Johnson. Flag has stayed down. Iwan Roberts is onside. It's Roberts against Crossley. Good save by the Forest goalkeeper. Nothing wrong with the shot by Iwan Roberts. Had plenty of power in it. Just didn't have enough height to deceive the goalkeeper. Forest really caught out then. They just stood and waited. Hjelde trying to get back to Roberts. Bart Williams able to angle the ball away, and Forest again have an opportunity to break with Pruton. Great stop by Andy Marshall. Magnificent save by the Norwich City goalkeeper.
Very pleasing to score today. You know, I got on the end of a great cross from Darren Eadie. All I had to do was really have a good first touch, which I got the reasonable touch, and I think Brennan, the left back, was closing me down quick and had a half volley which went in the bottom corner, so I was well pleased to score, yeah.
You had a bit of time as well to think about it.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I was thinking about hitting it first time, but that's sort of bounced up quite high, so I had to control it with my chest, and like I say, fortunately that fell perfectly to my feet, and I say got a good strike on it.
Well, you say you were 33-1 to score the first goal today, but did you have an investment?
No, not personally. No, I don't generally back myself. You know, like I say, my scoring record has not been too great, so I'd rather save me money.
All smiles now then, as City's poor start to the season was well and truly behind them. But things didn't go quite to plan at bottom club Swindon. Missed chances in the first half didn't help. Norwich looking to continue their ongoing climb up the First Division table, which by now had taken them to within 4 points of the top 6. In the second half, Andy Marshall was again busy protecting his goal with a little help from the crossbar. The goalless draw stretched City's unbeaten run to 7 games as we approached the end of November, the countdown to Christmas, and the first local derby of the season at Carrow Road. With Norwich and Ipswich not playing until the Sunday, the City players took the opportunity to get out and about among the Christmas shoppers, drumming up as much support as possible for the eagerly anticipated visit of the old enemy, a game where passionate fans are an important ingredient.
Yeah, they certainly are. We need them all behind us. It'd be great if we fill the place, and we can only hear Norwich chants on Sunday. That would be fantastic.
A near-capacity crowd as they took to the pitch at Carrow Road, only 4 points separating the teams in the table at this stage. Norwich without 2 key players, top scorer Iwan Roberts suspended, Darren Eadie once again injured, but hopes were high and the atmosphere electric as ever.
Here's Kenton. Llewellyn with a touch on, Forbes! Glorious opportunity for Norwich City. Forbes down and hurt. The new attacking partnership of Llewellyn and Forbes nearly producing the right result for Norwich. Deft touch on there by Llewellyn. And Forbes was caught by Richard Wright as he came across to try and make a save. Forbes got there first, but he was also caught by the Ipswich goalkeeper Studs. Bruce Rioch, the Norwich City manager, has decided that it's time to come down from the stand and to consult with Dougie Livermore, his coach. Swung in by De Blasis, and it came back off the crossbar. Jackson with a header, and the frustration obvious. So difficult to defend against free kicks like that. Left-footed from the right-hand side. And Tites was the last man in the line. He didn't get there, Jackson did. Wright was flat-footed. Dalglish. Now De Blasis. Good covering work by Vilnius, but the ball has fallen kindly for Cedric Ancelan. And the flag is up for offside against Adrian Forbes. Whistle able to get beyond Magilton and Scowcroft, and he's won the free kick for Norwich. Can Norwich produce something here? Fleming and Jackson both forward. Such with the free kick. Milligan. And straight through to Richard Wright. Well, what a moment that would have been for Mike Milligan had he found the target. Ipswich defending deep, defending in great numbers.
You know, we'll take the point. We'd like to have won the game, but we'll take the point today, bearing in mind, you know, we've got a young side, a lot of young players out there who haven't got the experience of maybe some of the Ipswich chaps, but they've done fantastic. They got great local pride, and they were determined to do well today.
Honours even then again at Carrow Road, but City's unbeaten run came to an end 2 days later at Crystal Palace. The game was heading for another goalless draw until a minute from time. Matthias Svensson grabbing all 3 points with a thumping header. Andy Marshall understandably frustrated. It was the first goal he conceded in almost 4 hours. City so close to making it 9 games without defeat. Come the weekend, it was off to Cleethorpes for the live televised match against Grimsby.
Russell getting it in towards Roberts, who's aiming for Eadie, and Roberts brings it down well, and there's a vital challenge from Smith.
Yeah, great challenge from little David Smith. I thought that was the opening goal coming. Roberts is a threat. He's a big, powerful centre forward. Gets a little break here, gets a good touch. And Smith with a great left foot blocking it. It's Norwich's best chance. Roberts' first touch here is great, just tries to toe poke it towards goal.
And Kenton comes in. Kenton scores his first of the season, and Norwich are a goal to the good.
Good ball, driven in against the wind. Powerful header from 7-8 yards. Norwich 1-up. Excellent. Eadie with the delivery. Good flight on the ball. Kenton, not the tallest, gets first jump. That's a smashing header.
Ashcroft trying to lay it back into Donovan's path. Kenton makes the challenge. The referee takes a long look at it and does point to the penalty spot.
Well, Kenton lying in the ground, with his head in his hands. He can't believe what he's done. A hero a few moments ago. Reckless challenge, clearly catches Donovan. Down he goes. This time no hesitation.
Graham Law's pointing to the spot, and Lee Ashcroft is the penalty king. 5 of his 7 goals this season have come from the spot. And it's in off the post! And Grimsby are level. And here goes Eadie again, and he's got away from Gallimore! And he's managed to turn it back across. It seemed a lost cause. Somehow he got there.
The guy's pace, Gallimore can't afford to put a foot in. Great stop, Eadie reacts well, but lever clearing.
That's Field. Leicester. Off, great turn from Leicester. Can he finish? Good save by Marshall. Ashcroft turns it in. A second for Lee Ashcroft.
Frustrating afternoon for Norwich, Darren Kenton especially, what with his goal and then that harsh penalty decision. But it was 2 straight defeats now, and that meant a high time to return to winning ways back at Carrow Road, where West Bromwich Albion were the visitors as we entered December.
Here's Fugelsang. Now Eadie. Norwich with 3 in the penalty area. Brilliant save there. And a super block too by Matt Corbin. The original effort by Paul Dalgleish, the follow-up by Cedric Anselan, and somehow Albion have survived. Driven in by Eadie. Corbin with a header clear, only as far as Russell. Chance here for Anselan. It's worth the try, it was a long way out. Norwich have a defensive wall of 4. Schneikers and Kilban, the 2 over the ball. Here's Kilban. Kevin Kilban with his 7th goal of the season has given West Bromwich Albion the lead. And the shot was sure and straight, and it was into the bottom corner beyond Andy Marshall's reach. There's Russell. Now Dalgleish, oh, he's done well there, Paul Dalgleish. A fine save by Alan Miller. Terrific turn by Paul Dalgleish, but a magnificent stop by the West Bromwich Albion goalkeeper. Dalgleish. Roberts just ahead of him. Eadie has also made his way into the Albion penalty area. Here's Such and Roberts. Norwich have equalised. A bullet-like diving header from Iwan Roberts. It's his first goal in 7 matches. And for the former Wolves man, the double delight of scoring against West Bromwich Albion. Brave and forceful there, Iwan Roberts. Delightfully angled header to make the most of the cross-in from Daryl Such. Here's Duplessis for Norwich. Duplessis able to find Darren Eadie, and Adrian Forbes' first touch is a poor one. A goal for Norwich, it's Darryl Russell. Darryl Russell has produced the moment of magic. Cross delivered in by Darren Eadie.
Yes, Darren Eadie with a trademark contribution to set up match winner Darryl Russell, but it was to be Eadie's last appearance in a Norwich shirt. The Carrow Road favourite, who emerged as a bright prospect during the UEFA Cup campaign back in '93, joining Leicester City in a £3 million transfer, teaming up once again with Martin O'Neill. The fans wished Eadie well and then considered the prospect of life without him as Norwich entertained Coventry in the FA Cup.
Roberts sticking determinedly to his task. Header on there was by Russell, and a chance here for Anselan. What an escape for Coventry City. Iwan Roberts with the deft cross in, Russell with the initial header back off the crossbar, and Headman still trying to get his geography right as Anselan charged in and blasted the rebound against the post. Boggett. And Marshall has dropped the ball in the net. It's Noel Whelan on his return to the first team who's given Coventry City the lead. Here's Fuglestad. Now Llewellyn. Here's Russell. And Llewellyn. He's got the equaliser. It's Chris Llewellyn with his first goal since February. Chris Llewellyn, who's only got his chance because Norwich have now sold Darren Eadie to Leicester City for £3 million, has made it 1-1. An element of good fortune in the way he received that pass, but it was a clinical enough finish. Llewellyn responding to his manager's faith in him. Here's Eustace. Now Cheaper. Whelan with Roussel or keen to aim at. And it's straight under Andy Marshall's hapless body for a second goal for Coventry City. And it's the substitute, Cedric Roussel. A nightmare afternoon for Marshall. Keen now for Coventry. Game has really opened up. Hadji up there in support. And here's Eustace. Number 3 for Coventry City. That surely settles it.
I can't really explain the 2 goals really. I mean, the first one just seemed to happen. The ball just seemed to slip out of my fingers and obviously bobbing into the bottom corner. And the second one, I think it was Rousseau's got a touch on it and it's hit Jacko's foot as well, and spun off the surface and went under my body. But there's no excuses. They're saves I should be making, no problem really.
But he's played brilliant for us this year. He really has. He's won matches for us on his own. He's made some fantastic saves, and his performance has overall been absolutely outstanding. Just one of those days that it happens for him.
Time then to concentrate on the league and a Friday night trip to Tranmere, who'd been performing all sorts of exploits in the Cup. Dave Challoner's long throw, a not-so-secret weapon, and sure enough it reaped dividends as Rovers took an early lead. But the Canaries staged a tremendous second-half comeback. First, Eric Fuglestad's free kick found Iwan Roberts. 1-1, and this time it was City's turn to snatch a late winner. The transformation was completed when Roberts bagged his second just a minute from time. The big Welshman following up when it seemed Chris Llewellyn might have missed the chance. 2-1 to City, no mean feat against a team which had seen off the likes of Coventry, West Ham and Middlesbrough in cup competitions. And just the ticket as the pantomime season arrived at Carrow Road.
If you don't behave, I might turn you all into Ipswich fans. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Yeah!
This year we're going in for a bit of light training on Christmas Day, so we'll have to get up earlier and open the presents and everything. But you know, we've got a big game on Boxing Day which we need to win. So if it means getting 3 points against QPR, then we'll try anything.
It's difficult for us to mix everything in. Obviously, we have to devote time to the family, but at the same time, we are professional footballers and we have to devote all our time to preparation to the games and winning points for the club.
The kids are excited, as you can see from Angus here. Dying to get through to see the pantomime, but yeah, it's a nice time. I know the players are in on Christmas Day. I'll have a chance to actually be at home on Christmas Day. Just wish the players all the best and hope they have a nice Christmas Day, but don't indulge in the turkey too much.
Hello, everybody! Oh, they're a bit quiet, aren't they? Hello, everybody!
OK, back to the serious business. Boxing Day, where recent times have brought little cheer for City fans. Without a win since the days of Ikoku and Sutton, skipper Matt Jackson set about putting the record straight. Jackson leading from the front, getting on the end of Cedric Anselin's free kick and forcing the ball in off his opposite number Tim Breaker at the second attempt. A bright start then, but Rangers were back on terms just before the break. Stuart Wardley heading home at the far post to make it 1-1. It stayed that way until the closing stages when a bumper Christmas crowd was treated to a storming finish. Chris Llewellyn very much the central figure. Just 2 minutes to go, Llewellyn pounced to snatch the winner. 2-1 to Norwich, a Boxing Day victory for the first time in 6 years. Iwan Roberts playing his part in the winning goal, putting Ludo McCloskey under pressure as the cross came in from Daryl Such. But some 90 seconds later, Llewellyn found himself taking a slightly early bath for a second yellow card. Norwich now up to 8th in the table, and their final match of 1999 took them to Molineux. Llewellyn in the thick of the action yet again. An attempted clearance, rebounding off Michael Branch early in the second half for what turned out to be the only goal of the game, 1-0 to Wolves. Back to Carrow Road for the first game of the new millennium against Portsmouth, where for the first time Norwich started to talk, or at least whisper, about the possibility of promotion.
Jackson certainly stumbled. Llewellyn is able to deliver the cross. And Fleming has put Norwich in front. 9 minutes gone and a bullet-like header from Craig Fleming has given Norwich City the lead. Delightful cross in by Llewellyn, and Portsmouth just didn't pick up Fleming, who was powering in from a long way out. Portsmouth have pushed Whitbread forward into the Norwich penalty area. Ball took a deflection off the referee. Brilliant stop by Andy Marshall, and Claridge can't follow up with the rebound. Terrific stop there by Andy Marshall. Here's Jackson. Now Anselan. Russell just ahead of him. Here's Roberts. Now Fuglestad. May well have been Russell who got in the way of that effort. That's a penalty. Kenton brought to the ground by Miglioranzi. Paul Reed to the referee, and absolutely no doubt Fuglestad, with a shot which took a ricochet, and there was a trip there. And Norwich have an opportunity to increase their lead. Iwan Roberts with the opportunity to increase his tally for the season. It's Iwan Roberts against Alan Knight. Here's Roberts, and that's 2-0 Norwich. Minutes gone, and the delight obvious for Iwan Roberts. The smile as broad as ever. Knight, the goalkeeper, sent the wrong way. It was a well-struck penalty, and that's given Norwich a 2-goal advantage. Robinson. Bradbury looking for some help. It's arriving now from Robinson. And Norwich still unable to get the ball clear. And they've been punished eventually. It's Lee Bradbury.
2-1 the final score, a winning start to the year 2000. And now there was serious talk about the playoffs, with good reason too. After their poor start, Norwich really had now turned things round. They found themselves only 3 points off the top 6. Great expectations then among club officials and fans alike for the visit of 4th-placed Barnsley. A win would take City up into the playoff zone.
Jackson has made his move into the 6-yard area. Roberts arriving with Fleming, and Fleming's got the header on, and Iwan Roberts has got the final touch. Norwich City ahead inside 3.5 minutes, and it's Iwan Roberts. Roberts determined there to get in on the end of the knock-on by Craig Fleming. And it was Roberts there who was able to get in behind Chris Morgan. It's just the start which Norwich City wanted. Here's Such. Now Russell. It's an inviting cross for Iwan Roberts. And Iwan Roberts has claimed his 2nd goal. Iwan Roberts, so strong and so powerful in the air, has claimed his 13th goal of a very productive season. Russell's inviting cross, and Roberts was in behind Morgan to punish Barnsley yet again. Miller, the keeper, decided to stay on his line, and that's just the service which Iwan Roberts thrives on. It's a free kick, this, in a very inviting position for Barnsley. Barnsley packing the penalty area. And Bruce Dyer has pulled a goal back. Barely 2 minutes after coming on as a substitute, Bruce Dyer has got the goal which his manager Dave Bassett has been desperately searching for. We've got a real game on our hands now. Good burst forward for Norwich, this by Darren Kenton. He's prepared to go on all the way. And Miller is unable to hold. And Roberts is unable to take advantage of his slip. Here's Curtis. Shipley waiting at the far post. Dyer with a spectacular shot. And Hignett's got it. A dramatic equaliser by Craig Hignett. 70 seconds from the end of normal time. And it's lucky 13 for the season for Craig Hignett.
But unlucky 13th for Norwich, missing out on the chance of a place in the top 6, and with yet more injury problems as they headed for the Midlands. Darrell Russell and Craig Fleming both out for the trip to St Andrews. This one proved to be a day to forget for Andy Marshall. Marshall's punch falling to Martin Granger, who promptly returned the ball with interest to give Birmingham an early lead. And it wasn't long before the fullback was at it again, heading home the corner to make it 2-0 with barely half an hour on the clock. Worse still for Marshall, 5 minutes into the second half, a great double stop, but the second save was outside the box. And Andy Marshall was duly shown the red card. But City's 10 men responded by going close to pulling a goal back. Paul Dalglish to Adrian Coote, his header against the post. At the other end though, substitute goalkeeper Robert Green took a chance to shine with some fine saves to prevent Birmingham increasing their lead. Final score 2-0 at St Andrews. Well, it never rained but pours sometimes, and City were now experiencing a downturn in fortunes. Top of the table Charlton were already firm favourites for the title, and they underlined their promotion pedigree in emphatic fashion at Carrow Road.
And Charlton are in front. It's Andy Hunt. Robinson able to get the ball forward towards Pringle, and here's Hunt. It's Andy Hunt. And he's squeezed in his second goal. Here's Newton. Now Robinson. Great exchange of passes by Newton and Robinson. Here's Newton's shot, which is blocked by Russell. In by Robinson. And that's the third goal for Charlton Athletic.
Former Norfolk schoolboy Andy Hunt returning to the county in some style, the one-time Norwich Union worker hitting a hat-trick. And another more famous Norfolk son was at Carrow Road for the next game against lowly Walsall. In goal, Roberts Green for the suspended Andy Marshall, and top scorer Iwan Roberts, having signed a new contract at last, was looking to celebrate with a goal or two. He went close.
Here's Roberts. Came up after the crossbar. And it's Dalglish who can't get the rebound in. Here's Carey. Now Such. Good movement from Roberts. And Iwan Roberts is in here. He's got good support from Chris Llewellyn. And Llewellyn has put Norwich City ahead. Chris Llewellyn, who in recent weeks has really found top form. He's benefited from an extended run in the first team. And he's rewarded his manager's patience with goals. Dalglish, who was able to work the ball through to Iwan Roberts, who showed great awareness there. And it was Llewellyn who was charging in support, who was able to apply the final touch. It was a good finish as well from Llewellyn. And Norwich City are in front. Dalglish. It's a terrific run by Paul Dalglish. Still Dalglish. And Dalglish frustrated by the inside of the post. Robbins. Ricketts just ahead of him. And Ricketts is in here. It was a good run by Ricketts. And a super finish. What a magnificent finish by Michael Ricketts. Good running by Llewellyn. Still with Llewellyn. Terrific run by Llewellyn. Magnificent run by Llewellyn. And what a good stop that was too by James Walker. Fuglerstad now. And Mackay. What a terrific stop by Walker. This time the goalkeeper decided to stay on his goal line. Mackay's reaction said it all. Wilson. Always a far from convincing attempt to clear. That was a good save as well by Green. Still with Rack though. And Ricketts over the top from a yard out. An astonishing miss. Good goalkeeping by the youngster Green. Just did enough to get a hand on the ball. Terrific play by Rack. And then the setup so inviting for Ricketts. And how did he miss from there?
How indeed. Ricketts dropping a ricket, you might say. But despite that let-off, a point wasn't really enough. And City's hopes of staying in touch with the playoff pack were dealt a further blow the next weekend at second-placed Manchester City. Norwich behind as early as the 3rd minute, courtesy of Sean Goater's header. But the Canaries recovered from that poor start, and they were back level again on the quarter hour. Iwan Roberts heading home, this time from Chris Llewellyn's corner. 1-1 at half-time, and it was beginning to look as if City might take something from this game, especially when Roberts went close to giving them the lead. But the Canaries were well and truly undone in the last 10 minutes. Mark Kennedy hitting 2 goals in a little over 90 seconds. That made it 2-1, and then Kennedy got the better of the City defence. Some strong running. His second, Manchester City's third. But Kennedy was denied his hat-trick thanks to a flying save from Roberts Green in injury time. But it finished 3-1, Joe Royle's team on course for the Premier League. Back at Carrow Road and back in goal for City, Andy Marshall returning from suspension. And good news for Norwich, they scored more than twice in a game for the first time this season, with a little bit of help.
Here's Carey. Now Dalglish, this is better from Norwich, and it's an own goal. Norwich get the breakthrough. A lucky break for Norwich City, a powerful header there by the fullback John McDermott. Norwich continuing to press. And Mackay back up the crossbar. Dalglish now for Norwich. Surging run forward by Paul Dalglish, still with Dalglish, great run by Dalglish. Coyne has dropped it, and somehow the Grimsby goal line survives. Here's Roberts. Good running by Fuglestad, great run by Eric Fuglestad, and eventually Coyne makes the save. Roberts with a header on. Here's Carey. Oh, magnificent save by Danny Coyne. Sean Carey did well then to keep that shot down and to keep it on target, because the ball bobbled to him at an awkward angle. He's played more than 70 first-team games now for Norwich, Sean Carey, and he's yet to score a goal. Such has been able to release Paul Dalglish. Russell arriving inside the penalty area. Roberts and Llewellyn also in there. Here's Russell, good turn by Russell, and what a magnificent goal by the substitute. He's been on for little more than 2 minutes. And Darrell Russell has provided a wonderful finish to double Norwich City's lead. Dalglish, who was able to angle the ball in towards Russell. It was a good turn. There didn't appear to be a great deal on for him, but he's an exceptional talent and he did exceptionally well there. Here's Dalglish. Now Such. Dalglish once more. That's a much better cross from Paul Dalglish. And Chris Llewellyn claims the third goal for Norwich. Paul Dalglish has given Norwich a lot of width down the right-hand side. That was by far the best cross which he's been able to plant inside that Grimsby penalty area. And it was a clever header by Chris Llewellyn. Just able to get in above McDermott. And that's sewn it up for Norwich. It's the first time this season that Norwich have scored 3 goals in a game.
It's been a pretty poor run for us recently. The fact that we haven't kept a clean sheet for a long time as well adds a little bit of pressure. So it was great, as you say, to score 3 and keep that clean sheet.
Why do you think that this has suddenly happened today, though? Because defensively you've been sound all the way through the season. It's just the odd goal going in here or there which has meant that you haven't been able to keep those clean sheets. Yeah,
I think we attacked more today, which sounds a bit strange, you know, from a defensive point of view, but the fact that we are attacking more, we're still on the halfway line a lot more, watching the team attack, they're under pressure, scrappy balls getting cleared by them, and it's easy for us to clean them up rather than being the other way around and we're constantly in our half defending.
And creating more chances right from the start today.
Yeah, I thought the wide players did well for us, you know, they looked lively, got good balls in, and obviously Big Robbo relies on service, and took the goals very well today.
Special mention there for Paul Dalglish, an inspirational performance in City's biggest win of the season. Centre of attention a week later, once again Andy Marshall, and we should now perhaps ponder another performance typical of his form throughout the season. Marshall just missing out on Player of the Year, and another superb display here against promotion-chasing Huddersfield. The City keeper was looking unbeatable, but he ran out of luck after another great block fell to Jamie Vincent. And Vincent put the Terriers ahead. Norwich, though, came back to earn a point through that man Roberts yet again. A diving header coming up at the near post. But Huddersfield boss Steve Bruce didn't see things quite like that. He felt Roberts might have helped the ball in with his hand. Judge for yourselves. Either way, Big Ewan looked a picture of innocence as he made his way back to the centre spot. 1-1. Next came 3 successive away games, starting at Ewood Park, where the Canaries' travelling supporters were treated to one of those rare but golden moments. A goal from Darrell Such. The long-serving City defender doesn't get too many, but when he does, they tend to be a little special. A cracking drive into the roof of the net from the edge of the box. So Norwich were leading 1-0, and if that was somewhat against the run of play, they nearly doubled their advantage after the break. Paul Dalglish just over the bar there. And then the lively Chris Llewellyn ran confidently and effectively at the Rovers' defence to set up Iwan Roberts. It stayed 1-0 to Norwich until injury time, well into injury time, some 94 minutes on the clock when Pierre Franson headed in from close range. Hard lines that on Norwich, denied all 3 points, far from happy with referee Mark Warren's timekeeping. But at least Daryl Such had enjoyed himself. Another goal in this, his testimonial season, and back home he was keen to pass on a few tips to young son Callum. Well, you never know, one day he may follow in Dad's footsteps and take to the stage in City colours. He'd certainly be proud of the old man's strike up at Eadie Park.
You know, it was a good strike, and I have to say, yeah, probably one of the best goals I've scored, even though I haven't scored too many, so I can remember each one quite clearly in my head, but, you know, I was pleased it went in.
Such has been a loyal servant to the Norwich cause. Born in Suffolk, he's been with the club for more than a decade now, and he's settled into family life in Norfolk with wife Sarah and little Callum.
I scored 9 goals in my career, and I think 8 of those we've been on the winning side or we haven't lost, so you know, they're quite crucial.
Now Eadie, Forbes in the middle, Such arriving, here's Daryl Such, chance for Such, and Norwich City are in front.
I'm finding myself in positions where I can you know, hopefully get some more goals, and you know, scored Blackburn, had a couple of chances as well, and hopefully I'll get a few more before the end of the season.
A testimonial season which sees Such reflecting on some treasured moments during his time at Carrow Road.
Obviously got to be finishing third in the Premiership and qualifying for Europe, and you know, playing and beating Bayern Munich has obviously got to be the greatest moment in my career by far. A lot of highs and lows. You know, obviously been in and out of the sides. There's been times where I feel, well, you know, my career's finished at Norwich and it's time possibly that I should move on. But I've always battled hard and wanted to, you know, prove a lot of people wrong and prove to myself that I can be a regular first-team player here. And you know, fortunately over the last few seasons, I think I've proved that.
One club loyalty like Such's goal, something of a rare commodity these days. As for Such Jr., he's working on his physique already.
You doing your press-ups there?
OK, back to the big boys and the league. Gresty Road next, with Norwich looking to pick up a point or 3 from struggling Crewe. But inconsistency reared its ugly head yet again, and in the events they were undone by an early goal from Neil Sauville. Once again, Andy Marshall did his bit to keep Norwich in the game, and they might have snatched a point when Eric Fugelstad ventured forward. His shot saved by Jason Kearton. 1-0 to Crewe. Then the third successive away match took Norwich to the City ground. Now you may have noticed Norwich have conceded quite a few early goals this season, but how about this for a start? Norwich kick off, the move breaks down, moments later the ball's in City's half, and then in City's net. Jack Lester scoring after just 15 seconds. But once again, to their credit, Norwich came back, and once again, to his credit, it was Iwan Roberts who hauled them level. 1-1 just before the half hour. It nearly got even better after the interval. Substitute Mike Milligan with a superb turn and shot. But it ended 1-1 at the City ground, which meant it was now 4 games without a win. That was to become 5 at Carrow Road in a hugely significant game, as we'll hear in a moment.
Forsell! Magnificent save by Andy Marshall. Banzee, and another terrific stop by Andy Marshall. On by Thompson. Forsell! Another brilliant save by Marshall. And there's a break on here for Norwich City with Chris Llewellyn. Diblassi forward in good support. Here is Jean-Yves Diblassi, Roberts and Dalglish. And the ball is ricocheted off the post and away to safety for Crystal Palace. Here's Morrison. There's a chance here for Morrison to assess all the options just ahead of him. Still with Morrison, he's round Jackson, and another fine stop by Andy Marshall. Good goalkeeping by Marshall. And that's a wonderful crossfield pass by Cole to pick out Thompson. Flaggers stay down, and Crystal Palace have gone in front. It's Clinton Morrison.
And that was to be the last goal and last game of Bruce Rioch's reign at Carrow Road. Within hours, news that after 21 months in charge, Rioch had decided to quit.
The board and the first team manager have agreed to end his contract with the club with immediate effect. Whilst the board was surprised and disappointed at this development, which was not expected, the board and Bruce agree that it is now in the best interest of the club and Bruce to part company.
I think that Bruce worked very, very hard, and he had really taken the team on quite a long way. I think over the season we've reflected back in the Bellamy Mulryne situation with regards to injury. That didn't help. I think also we lost Eadie, and then I think one or two matches didn't go as well as you would expect. And I think Bruce was trying very hard to sign players and was running into problems at different levels. Maybe a chairman wouldn't let a player come, the player didn't want to come, the agent didn't think it was right. And I think it was a little bit of frustration. And he had worked for so long at the top level with Arsenal, and I think he wanted to get back there as quickly as possible. And when he decided to go, I asked him, "Are you sure that's what you want?" And he was sure. And you know, I think everybody wished him well, and I know he had worked hard and he had done his best.
Well, Bryan Hamilton's first job was to prepare his team for the small task of the trip to Ipswich. Some baptism for the new City boss, inheriting a team with just one win in 11 league games.
Have you met the next manager in Norwich?
A fierce local derby to come. It was time to lighten things up a bit. So Norwich players, past and present, took to the golf course for a spot of relaxation of sorts.
Oh dear, there we go. Yeah, when I first saw you today, Darryl, you reminded me just a little bit of Tiger Woods. Do you play like him?
I don't think so. I've only played a couple of times. Just come out to enjoy myself with the lads and have a nice day out.
Tiger Woods, eh? A little short on distance, perhaps, but then who knows? Woods is probably a terrible midfielder. What about Big Iwan? Or the skipper? Well, not too bad, and either way the mood was distinctly upbeat.
After the past couple of days as well, things have been quite hard, but you know, we've got to get on with it, professional people. So yeah, it's nice to come out, and you know, Gunny's organised the golf day for us, and I would say the majority of the lads are here. So yeah, it's a nice day to break the week before the big game on Sunday, of course.
From the current City marksman to a former Canary hotshot, Terry Alcock, the wily Bill Punton, a veritable vintage City strike force on show. Peter Sylvester was also there. Oh, for their goal-scoring prowess right now. Mind you, times have changed.
It used to happen years ago. We used to play Christmas Day and Boxing Day, and one match would be at Carrow Road and the other would be at Ipswich. It used to ruin the Christmas for us because the manager used to take us away and put us in a hotel the night before the game, so you never spent it with your family.
So players have it quite soft these days.
Well, they do, really.
Look out, here comes another City favourite.
I'm letting my team down, I apologise.
No, he's not.
Flecky on good form. Jerry Goss taking the chance to mull over the great times and great derbies.
I think it was between 92, 93, 93, 94. I managed to score the winning goal at Carrow Road, and it was an evening game, and it was a little bit greasy. The surface was greasy because the rain was coming down, and fabulous occasion, and one which I'll always remember.
That's it.
And this is it. A packed Portman Road for the East Anglian derby. Dramatic build-up, what's with Bruce Rioch's departure, and another dramatic East Anglian showdown to come. So sit back and enjoy probably the finest 90 minutes of City's entire season.
Well, derby week, not the best week for Norwich City to lose their manager. And while Bruce Rioch's decision to quit was followed by boardroom calls for the need for some calm reflection and continuity, it can't have been easy for Director of Football Bryan Hamilton to take temporary charge ahead of what can be the most volatile fixture on the calendar. Hamilton knows a good deal about Ipswich, though. He played here for 4 years and returned briefly as a coach on the run-in to the end of the 1998 season. But the Norwich caretaker manager hasn't worked with Marcus Stewart, the striker Ipswich signed for a club record £2.5 million at the start of February. Stewart missed last Saturday's 2-1 defeat at Wolves with a groin strain, but he returned to training on Friday and reported no reaction. Norwich have got problems. Their attempts to sign Rule Fox on loan failed, And Darren Kenton and Sean Carey have been joined on the injury list by Jean-Yves de Blassy, who hurt a knee in training. Lee Marshall gets his chance on the right side of midfield. Much is expected of Darryl Russell, and top scorer Iwan Roberts will be hoping to make his mark. This afternoon's referee is Rob Stiles from Waterlooville. So the curtain rises yet again on East Anglia's big sporting drama. This fixture has produced plenty of spine-tingling theatre in recent times. Who'll forget the hat-trick Alex Matthews scored in the first half here for Ipswich back in 1998, or that stunning breakaway goal which Craig Bellamy scored for Norwich to settle things last season. Dramatic moments, comedy moments too, like in 1996 when the Norwich goalkeeper Brian Gunn was caught out by a back pass from Robert Ullathorne, and Ipswich celebrated a 2-1 win. Ipswich already trying to impose themselves on the game here. Johnson there with a header on, but there was a push on Matt Jackson. Norwich, for all their problems this season, have been very resolute and tight in defence. Russell finds an extra yard. Here's Fuglestad. Cross in, there was a poor one. And there was a poor clearance by Richard Wright, who was complaining bitterly there that Russell had his foot up as the goalkeeper tried to clear. But Jilton. Now Johnson. Russell to win possession back for Norwich, and now to accept possession from Iwan Roberts. It's still with Darryl Russell, and he just overran the ball. But positive early signs from Norwich. It's a big occasion for the younger players, but Lee Marshall, Darryl Russell there, and Chris Llewellyn for Norwich have adapted exceptionally well. What will Bryan Hamilton have learned from his time with Ipswich at the end of the 97-98 season? He'll have certainly got some indication of how George Burley will have been able to have G'd his players up for a game like this. Roberts ready to make his run. Jackson now inside the 6-yard area. Here's Lee Marshall. Mowbray and Titus unable to get the ball away. And Iwan Roberts has put Norwich City ahead. A stunning blow for Ipswich Town. Norwich City in front. And it's their top scorer, Iwan Roberts, who's got the goal. Well, there was some confusion in there. A sweeping corner kick which was pumped back in by Lee Marshall. Mowbray and Titus unable to clear, and it was Roberts' shot which took a deflection off Titus. Norwich in front. Standing there between Venus and Clapham. There's Russell. Now Such. Darryl Russell has continued his forward run then, and the flag has stayed down. Is Llewellyn. A great chance for Chris Llewellyn. Vilnius was able to recover. Ipswich guilty of ball watching there. They stood and waited for an offside flag which never came. Those Ipswich Town supporters have endured all sorts of agonies in the last 3 years in the promotion playoffs. Maybe David Johnson can give them a lift here. Stinging shot from David Johnson, which span away from Andy Marshall. Marshall angry there that no one was capable of getting a challenge in. Ipswich attack again down the left-hand side. Here's Clapham. Johnson's header, and this time the effort is wide, punches the ground in frustration. The clearest sight of goal so far though that David Johnson has had. A shot quickly followed by a header from David Johnson. Ipswich are beginning to find a bit of fluency and a bit of form. Norwich flooding the midfield. Only Iwan Roberts forward as they try and repel yet another Ipswich Town attack. Titus dispossessed by Llewellyn. Here's Russell. Now Roberts, and the flag has stayed down. Chris Llewellyn is onside. It's Llewellyn one-on-one against Richard Wright, and he's put the shot wide. Chris Llewellyn will never have a better opportunity to score a goal in this derby fixture. An extraordinary breakaway, instigated by Russell and Llewellyn. It was Roberts who chipped the ball over the top of the Ipswich defence, who stood and waited for offside, and confronted by Richard Wright, Llewellyn put his shot wide. Williams' pass intercepted by Milligan. Mike Milligan really is enjoying this. He's enjoying the big occasion. Norwich are enjoying the big occasion. It's Ipswich who are playing with more anxiety at the moment. But the persistence of David Johnson has now won Ipswich a corner. Jackson hustled into putting the ball out of play. Ipswich corner. And Ipswich packing the Norwich 6-yard area. Venus is in there. Mowbray ready to make his run. Johnson! Magnificent save by Andy Marshall. A fantastic stop by Andy Marshall, who's been in inspired form for Norwich this season. It was a bullet-like header from David Johnson. So much power in there. And what a terrific stop by Marshall, who had to get it away and out of play away from Venus. And nobody more grateful to have the ball in his hands there than Andy Marshall, the Norwich City goalkeeper, who's distributed it intelligently and been able to free Paul Dalglish. Here's Roberts. A chance for Roberts! And he's got another one! A sensational turnaround here. Ipswich denied at the other end by Andy Marshall has suddenly caught on the break. It's 2-0 Norwich, and it's 2 for Iwan Roberts. Beautiful control by Iwan Roberts, and what a superb finish. He was away from Vilnius, and he just had enough time to steady himself. You won't see a better finish than that. Ansalan. Now Roberts. That's a delightful layoff by Iwan Roberts. Here's Lee Marshall. Marshall against Wright. Terrific block by the Ipswich Town goalkeeper. Fine save by Richard Wright, who was confronted one-on-one yet again. In the first half, it was Chris Llewellyn. There it was Lee Marshall. And although Marshall was able to steady himself, he couldn't steer the ball beyond Wright. Many Ipswich Town supporters have already seen enough. At the moment, Ipswich Town are chasing shadows. Norwich happy to eat up a bit more time, happy to keep possession. Here's Milligan. Now Llewellyn. Hefty challenge by Venus there on Coote. Milligan, whose inspired performance in the first half paved the way for this Norwich City success. Adrian Coote has won the free kick for Norwich City. We're into the final minute of normal time. Delightful touch there by Darryl Russell. The running in the first half of Darrell Russell and Lee Marshall proved repeatedly troublesome for Ipswich Town, who at times were very static at the back. The Norwich City supporters in full voice with a rendition of their anthem, On the Ball City. They haven't got long to go now before they celebrate their second successive success here at Portman Road, having enjoyed a 1-0 win here last season with a goal from Craig Bellamy. They're on the verge of celebrating a second success with 2 goals from Iwan Roberts. Has it generally been a season of smiles for Norwich or their supporters? But this will give them one huge lift. Wayward shot by Jim Magilton. We're into stoppage time. Bryan Hamilton there on the right, just urging his players forward, insisting that they keep it tight at the back. Here's Coote. Lee Marshall just edging the ball forward, and that's it. Norwich City have enjoyed success at Portman Road for the second successive year. David Johnson denied by Andy Marshall on 2 occasions in the first half, and Norwich winners with 2 first-half goals from their top scorer, Iwan Roberts.
2-goal man, Iwan Roberts. Iwan, that smile says it all. What a victory for you and for Norwich.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great win for us. You only got to see the effect it's got on the people down here. You know, it's been a hard few days, it's been a tough few weeks with the way we've played, but you know, we've played well today, and I think overall we've deserved the 3 points.
You didn't play like a team that's undergone a managerial upheaval.
No, we passed the ball. We played in a different formation with 5 in midfield. Myself up front on my own, and it paid off. I mean, we caught them on the break numerous occasions, and to be honest, we could have had 1 or 2 more.
I enjoyed that game because I think we got it technically right. We played a system, and the lads were fantastic. They were absolutely fantastic. They played at the T, and we were a better side on the day. We had a good win, and well deserved. And it was certainly a great start for me. Really good start. I enjoyed it. I was pleased for the crowd. I really did hope that Ipswich went on to bigger and better things, but on that day I really wanted to win the game, and the lads did it for me.
I think Sunday was a wonderful boost for all of us after a terribly difficult sort of 10 days, and I thought the way Norwich played on Sunday was really good, and so I'm full of hope for the future. I think Bryan Hamilton is an extremely good coach. There's lots of bubble, lots of excitement. We've got players coming. Today has been kind of a really heady day, you know, with players on loan, players being signed. And I think 1 or 2 players are ringing up Bryan and saying, can I come and play with you? Because I really think you're good.
Yes, Delia delighted. Bryan busy. No fewer than 5 fresh faces paraded at Carrow Road ahead of the midweek match against Swindon. This was what the fans had wanted. A new beginning. Ipswichism. No.
Here's Leach. Gray just ahead of him. It's surely a stumble there inside the penalty area, and Swindon have a penalty. Cow, who was brought down. Norwich score on the break. Leach, who was able to thread the ball in, and the mistimed challenge by Craig Fleming. And that's 1-0 to Swindon Town. Good work by Gray. Here's Hay. And that's a delightful finish. It's Chris Hay again.
Ah, well, these things happen. Come the weekend at Lofted, 3 of the new signings were in the side, including Gary Brady, whose cross found Lee Marshall to give Norwich the lead. City won up at the break. Their lead had gone just 2 minutes after the interval. Andy Marshall unlucky from the free kick to see his one-handed save come back off the post and fall to former Ipswich striker Chris Kiwomya. But it wasn't long before Norwich restored their lead. Another new signing, Dutchman Raymond de Waard, knocking the ball into the danger area for Marshall to score his second. 2-1 to Norwich until 5 minutes from the end, when Kiwomya found himself in the right yet again, poaching a scrappy equaliser, and so denying Norwich a second successive away win. It finished 2-2. Back to Carrow Road, where Lee Marshall's renaissance under the new management continued. After his 2 goals at Loftus Road, more of the same against Tranmere.
And there's Lee Marshall. He can't believe it. 2 against Queen's Park Rangers last week, and another one here now against Tranmere Rovers. Devoured with a deep in-swinging corner, and Lee Marshall, brave and positive then to get the better of both Ruben Hazel and Gary Jones. Forward by Brady, flag has stayed down. Iwan Roberts is onside. Great chance for Iwan Roberts. A second chance for Roberts. He reacted well to the second attempt, but he shakes his head because Iwan Roberts here knows that he should have really put Norwich City 2 up. Forward by Hazel. Ball is skidded through between Jackson and Allenson. There's a chance here for Parkinson. And Tranmere Rovers have got the equaliser.
So 1 win, 1 defeat and 2 draws under Bryan Hamilton, but in truth the new City manager was already planning for next season. Not that he was likely to have any second thoughts about the goalkeeping department. At Fratton Park, yet another virtuoso first-half display from Andy Marshall. And while Andy was keeping them out at one end, Lee was at it again at the other, giving Norwich the lead with his 4th goal in just 3 games. (1-0) to City, and there was more good news with the return after 7 months of midfielder Phil Mulryne. But any thoughts Norwich had of completing the double over Pompey disappeared in the second half. First, Kevin Harper grabbed the equaliser. And 10 minutes later, with a little over an hour played, Norwich were down to 10 men after Darren Kenton was sent off for 2 bookable offences. Portsmouth's comeback was complete shortly after that, Darren Moore scoring the winner. 2-1 to Portsmouth. Meanwhile, back at Carrow Road, the visit of playoff-chasing Wolves and one Kevin Muscat, public enemy #1 with Norwich fans after his crude challenge on Craig Bellamy at Molineux last season, while another of City's new recruits, Fernando de Velt, on loan, had a chance to impress at full-back. And there was more good news on the injury front. Craig Bellamy nearing fitness, but Bryan Hamilton perhaps wisely opted to give Bellamy a little more time and take another close look at the new boys.
Strong challenge there by Fleming. Branch now for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and a real test early on for Andy Marshall. Good save by the Norwich City goalkeeper. Branch had seen that Marshall had ventured a yard or 2 off his line, and the goalkeeper reacted very smartly to get a good shot over the top of the crossbar. As Hamilton has his back to the Wolves' defensive wall at the moment. It's Marshall, and a fine save by Michael Oakes. Terrific free kick by Lee Marshall, who's really on the top of his game at the moment. It was a well-struck free kick. It was aimed into that top corner, and Oakes did well to turn it aside. Forbes now across to take the corner for Norwich City. Swung in towards Roberts! It's Iwan Roberts who scored against his old club. A goal which will mean so much to Norwich City's top goal scorer. The delight obvious. It was a good corner from Adrian Forbes, swept into that Wolves 6-yard area, and Roberts just had a yard on his marker there, Ludovic Pollin. Norwich City in front. Des Hamilton is the player who's going off to be replaced by Phil Mulryne, who's back in action at Carrow Road for the first time since breaking his leg here against Blackburn last August. Terrific reception for Mulryne, who at first feared that he'd be out of action for the rest of this season, but he was determined to be positive, and he's made his comeback sooner than anticipated. Maybe Norwich can get in here. Roberts has set up Llewellyn. Can he repay the compliment? Roberts with a deft header on. Llewellyn in space, unable to tee up Roberts for a second time. Gialanza again, and there's a chance here for Iwan Roberts, who's been hacked down by Osborne, and Iwan Roberts quickly across to have a word with Andy D'Urso, because that means that Simon Osborne is off. Osborne, just minutes after being shown a yellow card, is dismissed, despite the protestations there from Iwan Roberts. Andy D'Urso, the referee, left with no option. Osborne is off, and Wolves, for the final 7 minutes, are down to 10 men. Norwich with Gialanza on the edge of that Wolves defensive wall. Mulryne is over the free kick with Lee Marshall. Darren Kenton might also fancy having a pop here right-footed. Here's Mulryne. And a fingertip save by Michael Oakes. Not for the first time this afternoon. Oakes across to clear a Norwich free kick. The first one was from Lee Marshall. That one was from Phil Mulryne. Norwich being urged to get on with the game by the referee. Mulryne across to take this corner for Norwich. Is Brady. That was a good effort from Gary Brady. Well found there by Phil Mulryne, and he had enough space and enough room to just size up the options. And the best option was to have a go at goal. Well struck shot, which wasn't too far away. Now here's Branch straight through the middle. Terrific stop there by Andy Marshall. And an incredible miss by Darren Baisley. Branch was able to break right between Fleming and Kenton, and how on earth did Baisley miss there? Branch now. He's away from Fleming. And another fine save by Andy Marshall. He really has been in tip-top form here. Terrific effort by Michael Branch, who there had the power and the acceleration to get away from Fleming.
I thought through the 90 minutes we played very well and well deserved the 1-0 victory.
Never easy in those conditions. I mean, you got off to a flyer yourself with that save from Michael Branch early on, and you did it twice more in the second half.
Yeah, you know, within the first minute, that set my stall out for the game, really. It's just what I needed. Probably before the start of the game, I wasn't quite feeling on song, but that just got me off to the start I needed, and the conditions didn't help the game too much, but it didn't seem to hinder our performance.
And a week later, he was back. Craig Bellamy coming on as substitute for his first taste of league action this season. A standing ovation for the Welsh international, underlining his popularity at Carrow Road. Bellamy had earlier suggested he would be back better than ever, and it didn't take long to prove none of the sharpness had gone. Bellamy going closer than anyone to breaking the deadlock against Port Vale. It ended goalless, but no matter. With Mulryne and Bellamy now back, the future was suddenly looking much, much brighter. And there was more tangible evidence of Craig Bellamy's resurgence in the next game at Barnsley, but not before the Tykes had hit Norwich with 2 first-half goals. The first a pile driver from Steve Chettle. And that was quickly followed by Barnsley's second, Neil Shipperley with the header at the far post. Norwich beaten twice in the space of minutes at the end of the half, the game effectively lost. But Bellamy came off the bench early in the second half and pulled one back. City beaten 2-1, but Bellamy's contribution further good news for the Canary cause. And it's worth just reflecting both Bellamy and Mulryne were now back, having been told they'd missed the entire season.
the surgeon and the physios have always assured me like it would heal. It was good. It was a clean break. You know, it was nowhere near my knee ligaments or my ankle ligaments. It was clean, and they said it would grow back strong enough, even stronger. So I was sort of positive all along it would get back.
It was a long and frustrating time on the sidelines for Mulryne and Bellamy, but the fact they were back ahead of schedule was testimony to their powers of recovery under the expert guidance of City physio Tim Shepherd.
What was the most serious of the two injuries?
I would say Craig's.
Because it was ligaments and it was potentially career-threatening?
These days with a top-class surgery regarding knee ligamentous injuries, I don't think it was career-threatening. But obviously, it's a more serious complaint than a fracture, invariably.
You try and, you think, well, hopefully, it won't be as long as what, his first set out to be. But, and that's the sort of aim you try and set yourself. But you can't. It's important you don't do things too early. Whether you've got to take your time, let it heal, and hopefully, everything's out of the way now.
Having got the OK to start running again, Bellamy and Mulryne then had to prove they were ready to start playing again, with low-key fixtures such as this match at the Abbey Stadium, Cambridge.
I thought to myself, I want to really work hard, and maybe get the last few games towards the end of the season. And a few people said I wouldn't play at the start of next season, so that was sort of driving me on. I just wanted a bit of a reward at the end of the season, maybe getting a few games.
I just couldn't believe I'm actually playing now. It was all those months you've gone watching games and you get used to it, and then the next minute it's like, oh, I'm actually playing tonight, and it was great feeling. And when I got out there, my first thought was just to enjoy every minute, in which I did, and you can't keep thinking about, because like they said, mine was a nothing tackle, and I've been in worse tackles than that since, but these things happen.
There's a big difference between doing it in training and doing it in practice matches and doing it in reserves. I think every time that he's stepped up a level, he's shown that he can cope with it. He's trained with the Welsh squad, so he knows what it's like to play at a higher level, but also it's the intensity and the pace of the game that I think is different, and that's the adjustment he has to make.
I'm not surprised that they've come back before the end of the season. That's not a surprise. It surprised me how well they've come back. They've come back and they don't look like they've really missed 9 months of the season.
People will give the right arm to be in the position we are, and you've got to remember that when you're injured, and it'll make me a better player from now on.
Craig's attitude and desire to get back has been top class. Phil has regressed. He's gone back about 10 years, but he's, joking apart, he's done very well, and he's a mature lad. He belies his 21 years, and his attitude has been excellent throughout his approach from the sort of dreadful day last August to his participating now, and he's applied himself and motivated himself very, very well.
This season would have been my big season, but it's even made next season a lot bigger, I just want to get as many games as possible and get consistency.
Mulryne might fancy his chances from here. He does indeed, and not a bad one either. Good save by Simon Tracy. That's the kind of distance that Phil Mulryne likes to take a poke from. Wants to get on with it though with the corner. And he can't keep these two apart so far this afternoon, Mulryne and Bellamy. Bellamy wants it short. Over it comes from Mulryne. Free header for Fleming, and 1-0. Oh, what a great start for Norwich City. 3.5 minutes on the clock, and the simplest of goals for Craig Fleming. Short corner, Mulryne to Bellamy, and Fleming completely unmarked and picks his spot. No chance for Tracy. And now Sheffield United on the attack. This is Devlin. He's got Bent in the middle with Quinn, and there is Bent, and what a fantastic save. Fantastic save from Andy Marshall. Bent should have scored. But that underlining the kind of season that Andy Marshall is having. Fantastic save to his left, keeping Norwich City ahead. There's one for Bellamy to chase. He's got the better of the Sheffield United defence. Tracy's off his line. Bellamy now needs support. He's tried one, and he scored. Craig Bellamy makes it 2-0 to Norwich. That is what Norwich City have been missing for almost all of this season. The man has come back, and he's come back on fire. 2 goals in 2 games. Bellamy beating him for pace, and what an angle, not too much to aim at, wide, left of goal, and fantastic finish by the Welshman. Here's Stuart Wilson, and again it's De Velt, and this time it's a penalty. Ken Leach points to the spot. De Velt and Wilson getting in a tangle there. (2-1) the final score in Carrow Road's final game of the season. A season which has started badly, the injuries, the poor results, then the recovery bringing faint hopes of promotion. A change of manager, the departure of one star player, but the return of two other stars. Bright signs at the end of the campaign.
I felt the game against Sheffield United was one I didn't want to lose. It was our last home fixture, and we hadn't played particularly well at home. I felt that that was the case, and the players knew that. So I really wanted, for the supporters, for the players, for me, a good home performance. I wanted to win, that's for sure, but I wanted the team to play well. And Sheffield United came down, they made a big match of it. It was hard, it was physical, it was strong, and we competed. In every part of the pitch we competed, and we won the game. It was a good game, I think everybody enjoyed it, and that was good. I think the last game of the season against Bolton was arguably our best performance. We lost 1-0, but in the first half was the best football I've seen from any team at Norwich. They were simply fantastic. And I actually said to the players, because people want to go on about formations, 4-4-2, 4-3-3, and I don't want to talk about numbers. I want our players to be clever. I want them to have good knowledge of the game. I want them to understand where they should be and they shouldn't be, and to try, when we have got the ball, to play. When we haven't got it, to get it back. And when it changes hands either way, then we react. And I thought against Bolton, particularly in the first half, we were absolutely outstanding. And we changed the formation a little bit. We changed the style a little bit. And the players responded again, as they had done against Ipswich, in superb fashion. And if we can build on that and take it on to another platform and do it more often, then I think that we could have a very, very good season next year. And as I say to the players, I believe in them. I'm going to continually try to improve the players individually. I'm going to continually try to improve the team, and also to improve the squad. But they understand where I'm coming from. I want the best for them. And I honestly believe that if we do it right, with the right attitude, the right desire, the right ambition, we've got good quality players here. We've got some very, very good young talent. We've got some experienced players who maybe have underachieved throughout their career. And as I said to them, why not finish off, although they're not at that stage, but coming towards the end of your career, finish off with a championship, finish off with a promotion, finish off with a playoff, have that great dream, have that great ambition, and become difficult to beat, and have that real passion about playing the game. And if we do start the season well, and we have got that little bit of luck, and we can avoid one or two injuries to important players, there's no reason why we can't be up there, certainly challenging in that top six.